As evidence of the traitorous crime of negotiating with the enemy.
Negotiating? He joined me in a drink.
Is it your habit, Mr. Crane, to drink with police officers?
If it please the court, I think we've already established that the cafe was crowded and that the police officer was seated by a waiter at the table with the defendant through no choice of his own.
Mr. Corelli?
At the time the defendant was seen with the officer, the cafe was less than 1/3 filled.
Does the defense desire to make a statement?
I'm afraid not, Colonel.
Well, I have a statement to make. I don't recognize the authority of this court.
When you joined us, you agreed.
I didn't know I have to call a lousy corporal colonel. I didn't know he was running a black market operation like it was an attack on a Maginot Line.
Crane, you're out of order. It's all right. Let him talk.
Oh, what's the use, huh? You got yourself to the point where you actually believe you graduated from West Point. So let's get it over with, huh? Expel me from the regiment, strip me of my rank and my medals in the village square at high noon, and send me home in disgrace.
The prisoner will rise and face the court. Crane, for the crime of high treason, for giving aid and comfort to the enemy in time of war, it's the decision of this court that you be executed.
With a Camera, starring Charles Bronson.
I didn't think you were serious about calling me back into the service.
Well, yes and no. You are still on reserve status, and I could make it official. But because of the nature of the work, I'm afraid there might be some raised eyebrows in the Pentagon.
Well, suppose you tell me about it. Maybe we'll have some raised eyebrows right here in the office.
Lieutenant?
Mr. Kovac, the colonel tells me you were a top photographer in Korea.
Lieutenant, you know all about me. Tell me about your problems.
My post is Paris, criminal investigation. We're going after army deserters, leftover mainly from the war, who have formed a hardcore criminal element in Europe. They've been involved in murder, blackmail, the black market.
There's one outfit in particular, headed by a former corporal who became impatient with the slow promotion in the army, deserted, and calls himself colonel.
Just last week, we found one of his men shot to death. Executed would be a better word.
Executed?
He was an informer. He told the French police that the colonel was planning to kidnap Hank Fletcher during the Cannes Film Festival.
Hank Fletcher, big movie star. Who'd pay to get him back?
His studio. No matter what you may think of him personally, he's worth millions to them. Now, we could prevent his coming to Cannes, but then the gang will just switch their interest to another star, and which of the hundreds of stars who will attend the festival, we have no way of knowing.
This is our one chance to round up the colonel and his men. This time, we have the big edge of knowing exactly what his next crime will be.
Yeah, but why do you want me? Seems to me that you and the French police could do a very good job of guarding Fletcher.
Well, we can, in and around the hotel. But to have him protected at all times would just frighten off the colonel.
As a photographer who's been around celebrities a lot, you could stick pretty close to Fletcher without arousing suspicion.
You know, this Fletcher's a pretty rough guy. He's been a soldier of fortune, fought in 3 different wars. I'd say he could pretty well take care of himself.
We're counting on that. Between the two of you, you should be able to handle any trouble until Lieutenant Lurie's men and the French gendarmes move in.
Will he know about me?
No, he wouldn't stand for it. A bodyguard would interfere with his, romantic maneuvers. Have you ever met him?
Yeah, he once busted a camera of mine over a reporter's head.
You will, of course, work in civvies, but you will have your reserve rank of captain.
How do you like that, Lieutenant?
Our plane leaves at 1400 hours. That's exactly 2 hours and 20 minutes from now. Sir.
Has Annette made contact with Fletcher?
We wasted a lot of carefully worked out plans there, Colonel. All she had to do was smile at him and he flipped.
I figured as much. You know, an officer can study for 10 years and not learn half the strategy a pretty woman is born with. We better go over these plans again. Now, this is the road they're going to take to Nice. There's Juan-la-Pigue, and that will suggest a side road into the mountain. Now, that's here. Now, your stations are marked here, here, and here. Now, I'll stay at the command post, coordinating all your reports.
Well, how can you be sure he'll agree to take the side road?
You know Fletcher's reputation. And you've seen Annette?
They were paying us 5 bills for every plane that we knocked down. So when those 5 bandits came down at me out of the sun, all I could think of was $2,500.
But, Sheriff, 5 of them against only 1 of you?
What could I do? Any way you look at it, there is only 1 of me. So there I was at 6,000 feet. I did a half turn, flipped over my back, then zoomed straight up.
Then what happened?
I was killed. I'll be right back, baby. I just have to shoot down one of the enemy. Didn't I once bust a camera of yours?
If that's an apology, forget it.
I don't get it. First, you're at the airport in Nice taking pictures of me when I get off the plane. Then you're in the hotel lobby when I sign in, and now you follow me to the lake.
Well, you see, I'm doing a spread on you. You've become my hobby.
I have a feeling you'd be much happier collecting stamps or taking pictures of Bridget Bardot for a change.
Oh, why? What's she got?
An even temper.
Qui est-il?
The president of my fan club. Let's get out of here. I hate autograph hounds.
You have not forget we are driving tonight to Nice.
We'll go back to the hotel and get dressed. I'll meet you at the bar at 7.
He's leaving for Nice at 7.
We can't patrol 30 kilometers of mountain road at night. You'll have to stop him.
Yeah, well, I've seen his date. Steel chains couldn't hold him back. Well, maybe I can intercept the girl. I'll tell you what. See if you can delay Fletcher until 7:30. I don't care how you do it. Have him arrested, question him, slug him, I don't care. But buy me a half an hour. Hello there. You alone?
I am never alone, monsieur, except by choice.
Yeah, I can believe that.
And at this moment, I do not choose to be alone. Cognac.
2. Yeah, believe me, baby. This guy Fletcher's nothing but grief for any woman.
But they said every woman in Hollywood would like to marry with him.
That's right. And half of them already have. Listen, honey, why don't you and I just quietly sneak out of here, hmm?
But I have promised Hank.
Well, he'll be disappointed, but he's been stood up before. Besides,
I think you're annoying the young lady.
is your husband your brother? Am I annoying you? So there you are. So what's the big fuss about? You know, it's tourists like you two who give Americans a bad name.
Mom, beat it, punk. The young lady already has a date.
What's the difference if... Yeah, that's right. She already has a date. How did you know that?
On your way, punk.
Come on, baby, let's get out of here.
What's going on here?
Hey, Fletcher, I'm glad to see you. Hereafter, you better be careful who you pick up.
What kind of a crack is that?
Your little playmate here just stole my wallet.
You are lying. I do not steal.
Look in her purse. Go ahead, look. Call the police.
Placed the Army in a very embarrassing position, Mr. Kovac. Getting an innocent girl jailed.
Well, it wasn't time for anything else. And besides, she's not so innocent. And she's obviously the lure the gang planted to draw Fletcher out to where they could get at him.
How do you know that?
With those two bully boys. They knew that she had a date with Fletcher. She probably phoned in a report.
Just the same, I don't like the idea of betting on...
Please, stop worrying. Fletcher's arranging her release right now. She'll be out by morning. I heard him make a date with her to drive the niece.
We've got to stop them.
That's the one thing we don't want to do. You want to grab the colonel and his gang, don't you? Well, tomorrow's our best chance. We know the time and we know the route.
What are your plans?
Oh, the first bit of daylight, I'm going to go out there and investigate the area. You know, we should familiarize ourselves with that battleground.
If Annette hadn't been so greedy, we'd have had him by now. She said she didn't take the wallet, and I believe her. I think this Mr. Kovac deliberately planted it on her.
Why would he do a thing like that?
I don't know. I don't know. But I do know he seems to be constantly underfoot.
So we scrapped the plan.
Certainly not. Our objective remains the same. Only it now seems there's an obstacle in the way of that objective. So, we follow and remove the obstacle. Hmm?
I got up early to take some shots along the road to Nice. But what I didn't know was that someone else had the same idea. Get everything I wanted, but I was being shot at.
These are very good. But there's 30 kilometers of road between here and Nice. You don't have 1/10 of that.
Well, like you said, Lieutenant, we can't patrol the whole area, even with the help of the French police. So the kidnapping will have to take place about right here.
Well, how do you plan to arrange that?
In every military engagement, the battle is half won if you can get the enemy to meet you on the battleground of your own choosing.
True. But won't it be dangerous to interfere with their plans?
That's the one thing we mustn't do. Now, Fletcher and Annette are driving to Nice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let them. Our job is to stop them right here.
I must admit it's a neat trick, if you can do it.
Oh, we can do it. We know that Fletcher drives a rented car.
But, monsieur, what you're asking is impossible.
Impossible for an automobile to break down?
We guarantee against all defects. Now, for Monsieur Fletcher's auto to break down, as you suggest, why, we would have to refund his money.
We'd make good any loss.
Monsieur Parnot, do you know how many kilometers per liter your vehicles get?
But of course, did I not, it would be impossible to figure the rates.
I mean exactly how many kilometers.
That is precisely what I meant, monsieur.
Oh, good. Here. Do you know this spot?
Oh, yes, yes. When I was young and could borrow a vehicle, this was the spot.
That's fine, fine. Now, we checked the distance from Fletcher's hotel to this spot. It's 14 3/10 kilometers.
Could you figure the amount of gasoline it would take to drive Mr. Fletcher's car into roughly this area?
14 3/10. Now, there are about 6 stoplights on the boulevard de la Croisette. At best, one can make half of them. Et puis ensuite, il y a le tournant, le passage niveau, ça monte, et ça redescend. Ça fait environ 200, 348, 22. Et voilà. Here is the figure. I have also taken into account the steepness of the grade of the road. And I have allowed for the heavy foot that you Americans have on the gas pedal. Very wasteful.
Many thanks, monsieur.
Mm-hmm.
What's our next move?
Well, I've got to stay out of sight. Now, as far as they know, they killed me this morning. So you send one of your men down and fix the gas gauge on Fletcher's car so that it reads full all the time.
That's easily done. He garages it at the hotel. We can get at it.
That's good. And send another man down to drain the gas tank so that there's just the exact amount left. And place your men around this area here. I'll follow Fletcher in my car.
It looks foolproof. Tell me, are you a student of battle tactics, Mr. Kovac?
Battle tactics. I once lived in a broken-down old tenement. I learned how to set a simple rat trap.
Charlie Boy to Mother Hen, I spotted the tiger. He's on the road directly below my post, headed northwest approximately 40 miles an hour.
Roger, they should hit the turnoff in 4 minutes.
Charlie Boy to Mother Hen, there's another cat following the tiger. About a half a mile behind, traveling about the same rate of speed.
Able Rat to Mother Hen. The tiger just passed my post, traveling at about 40 miles an hour.
Roger. Charlie Boy, start for the villa immediately. Able Rat, you will wait 3 minutes and then join us. Come in, Red Fox.
Red Fox, I read you, Mother Hen.
If by any chance they do not take the turnoff, you will follow them and report back.
All right, I'm stopped. Now what?
I have an idea. Let's take that road. It leads to a lovely little auberge.
Auberge?
What you call an inn. A glass of wine would be refreshing, n'est-ce pas?
Uh-huh.
Any sign of them, Sergeant?
No, sir. We have men on both sides of the road and an advance scout about a mile back.
What about Mr. Kovac?
No sign of him either. The road is clear. Both cars seem to have disappeared, Lieutenant.
What is the trouble?
I think we're out of gas. Pas d'essence. And I've seen the times I've prayed for this to happen.
Mother Hen to Red Fox. The Tiger has passed due. Have they continued on the main road?
Red Fox to Mother Hen. The Tiger hasn't passed me. He must be on the side road.
Mother Hen to all units. I'm driving down to check.
Fletcher. Hey, Fletcher. Hey.
Kovac, you've had it.
Come on, we gotta get out of here. There's some guys on their way to kidnap you.
Why don't you stop it, Kovac?
Come on, it's not a joke. They'll be here any second.
Oh, I'm sure they will. You know, the things that you won't do for a picture spread. Well, I'm going to give you something to tell your editor about. Now get out of here and take your phony kidnappers with you.
So I haven't got time for a fair fight. I'll be back in a second, Cherie.
Now, what's going on here?
Oh, this guy passed out, and I was about to take him back to town.
It is not true. He came to warn Monsieur Fletcher. He knows all about your plans.
You know, I thought you were something more than a photographer. And my intelligence officer was mistaken when he told me you were disposed of. Odd, isn't it? After the planes are through dropping their bombs, the artillery barrage is still. It's up to the man with a gun, a common foot soldier, to take and hold this battleground.
Are you recruiting? You need all this, don't you, to make it seem like a glorious battle for freedom and liberty, huh?
Well, there are certain similarities. For instance...
Fletcher, take my car and get some help.
Why, you seem to be doing fine.
This guy's not alone. The others will be here any minute.
You know, Kovac, you fight dirty.
Oh, man, I'll give you a fair chance at a fight later. Just do what I tell you.
You all right, Mr. Kovac?
Yeah, that's the colonel there.
We killed 2 of them. My men have the other one. He was shot up pretty bad. You all right, Mr. Fletcher?
Oh, I'm just fine. I've had my car sabotaged, my beautiful date ruined, and I get slugged from behind by your friend here. I didn't get to see this much action with the Flying Tigers.
You ought to be grateful to Mr. Kovac. He probably saved your life.
Who needed him? These men wouldn't have killed me. The studio would have paid up and everything would have been all right.
You sound like you wanted it to happen.
Maybe I did. This way Annette gets sent up for kidnapping, and by the time she gets out, she'll be too old to be interesting.
Au revoir, mon pauvre petit. Perhaps we will meet again in 10 years.
10 years? Kovac, I hate you.
You don't know much about French juries, do you?
What do you mean?
They're all men.